Hey guys, so I'm here to do my November wrap-up. I thought I didn't read a lot this month, but then I looked back and I was like, 5 books, which is like a decent number considering I was so busy this month. So let's just get into it. So the first book I read this month or finished this month, I guess, was Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, I read this for my lit class in school. I feel like if I hadn't read it for class, I would have enjoyed it more. But also if I hadn't read it for class, I would have put it down 2 chapters in. So like, toss up. If you are just trying to get into reading classics, I would not recommend this book. It's confusing. I spent a lot of time reading, like, this is interesting, I just don't know what the frick is happening. So I would not recommend it if you're just starting out with classics, but if you do like classics and want to try getting into maybe Russian literature, I would recommend it because it's actually really interesting and a pretty good exploration of like psychological stuff, and the main character is really nuanced and interesting, so yeah, definitely recommend it if you like classics and you're willing to stick out the first chapter because you hate the main character the first chapter. The basic plot summary is there's this person named Raskolnikov, and he's pretty poor, and he's dropped out of university, and something happens, and basically he murdered this old woman. And then the entire plot follows his like mental breakdown, sort of, as he struggles with his conscience, and we learn why he did what he did and what influenced him. So it's a wild ride, and if you have to read it for class, good luck. The second book I read this month was way lighter. I was able to get an arc of There's Something About Sweetie by Sanya Menon. If you guys have spent any time on this channel, you know I adore Sanya Menon's books. When Dimple Met Rishi, From Tingle with Love, and now There's Something About Sweetie. I'll probably make an arc review soon, but I just want to say, like, it's brilliant. I can't really speak for Fat Rep, but I've been hearing that it's really good, and the Desi Rep is perfect, like always. Sanya Menon has the best. The basic plot is, so there's this girl named Sweetie, Sweetie Nair, I think. And then there's Ashish, who, if you guys read When Dimple Met Rishi, this is Rishi's brother, and he's just broken up with his girlfriend and has sort of lost his mojo. And so because his parents were able to set up Rishi and Dimple so well, he sort of challenges them to set him up with someone, and they set him up with Sweetie, and it's so cute, you guys. It is so cute. And like, I'm so mad that Sanya Menon keeps writing adorable, feminist, like, amazing Indian guys, and then, like, comes on tour and tells us, like, oh yeah, they're, like, figments of my imagination. Where are you hiding them? I need one. The third book I read this month was also amazing. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Everyone has been telling me how good this book is. Like, literally everyone. And I finally got to read it, and they were absolutely right. It was so good. And it had this sort of like luxurious feel, like very like Hollywood. It was so good. And the twist was brilliant. And I adored this book. And the characters were beautifully fleshed out. So basically the premise, though, like, you haven't heard a billion other booktubers talk about this. The premise is that Evelyn Hugo has contacted Monique Grant to write her biography, and she's finally going to reveal the details of her 7 marriages. And the real like mystery is to figure out who she loved the most of them, and it's slowly revealed through the chapters. It's fantastic. Go read it. Everyone has been telling you to read it. Go read it. The fourth book I read this month was A Spark of White Fire, the first book in the Celestials trilogy. So it is a sci-fi novel based on the Hindu epic, the Mahabharata. So it's like a sci-fi novel with fantasy elements and mythological elements, and it was so good. Like, it's the best sci-fi I've read in a long time, guys. Like, World building, spectacular. All the characters were nuanced and interesting and so much fun. Just the scope of it and the setup, brilliant. The twists at the end, great. I loved it. If you are not familiar with the Mahabharata, I think this is a really good, really interesting remake that is actually really good for that, because it does take some of the Mahabharata concepts and twist them on their head, but it also explains everything thoroughly, so you don't really have to have a working knowledge of the Mahabharata to understand it, which is why it's so brilliant. So the premise is our main character, Esme, basically has been chosen by the goddess Amba. And the gods are these divine beings in this world that can influence and have powers but cannot physically help in anything, because then they will be stripped of their godhood. So basically she has been a favorite of this goddess Amba for a long time, and the book starts out with this competition for the greatest worship of all time, the Titania. And there's a world set up of two factions of a family, one who is on the throne and one who deserves the throne but has been exiled. And the competition is sort of rigged so that the exiled prince can win the worship, because the king who has the worship wants him to win the war. And that sounds so complicated. But basically, the story follows Esme as she gets entangled in this family and this upcoming war, and how her actions sort of change the course of destiny. So yeah, absolutely adore this, and I definitely recommend it. The last book I finished this month was A Thousand Beginnings and Endings by a lot of different authors, edited by Elise Chapman and Ellen Oh. It took me so long to read this just because anthologies are like that. Anthologies take forever and they're slow going, but I adored this anthology. I liked almost every story in it, at least to some degree. I learned a lot of really cool things about mythology. I loved seeing all the Hindu mythology in there. And yeah, I support this anthology. All of the authors in it are brilliant, and it's so cool. I love that we have anthologies like this because it allows for a kind of freedom and diversity that you don't maybe get in traditional publishing, because it's meant to appeal to people looking for Asian folklore. And so authors are given this kind of freedom that I love, and I love seeing all these interpretations. And so I highly recommend it. I'm planning on buying my own copy soon. And yeah, I think everyone should read it. So yeah, that's the 5 books I read in November. Hopefully I will be able to film a wrap-up, end of the year wrap-up video by sometime in December, but also I have a few pre-filmed videos that I'm going to be uploading throughout the month, and trying getting you more scheduled regular content. So hopefully I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.